Alex Ansary here. Thank you for tuning in to our January 21st, 2017 video discussing the Donald Trump inauguration and the path to World War III with China and Russia. For any of you that are familiar with my work, you know how long I've been warning about this conflict. And we are seeing signs, we are seeing confirmations. We look at the South China Sea and what is taking place there. We see the troop movements right outside of Russia, and now Obama is no longer in office. So these conspiracy theories can be dumped in the trash. That Obama's gonna false flag October surprise, November, December, now January. But it's really just business as usual. As Obama said, the handing off of the baton. To who? But Donald Trump. We look at the potential for a currency war, a trade war, the consequences of the tariffs, and all this is by design. People need to stay away from this mindlessness of thinking that being aware of the danger zone, the highway to the danger zone, that it's a Clinton or CNN or mainstream media talking point. You know, they've really fucked people over upstairs by directing people away from, hey, don't blame the media, be the media, start your own cable access TV show, start your own YouTube channel, don't just bitch at the media. How do we get from looking at the real elite to this, oh, it's just a few people, it's just Clinton and Soros and CNN? That's conspiracy in and of itself. When people tell you to stop looking at the top of the pyramid, when people tell you to not question Netanyahu and the close relationship with Donald Trump. So what do you think that we're going to see out of this presidency? And what is on your timeline? What I can tell you is that, and I mention this in often every video, because those that support Trump like to make a big deal out of saying that all these libtards and leftists predicted Clinton would be the president. Wait a minute, many of them did the same thing. Many of them said that Clinton would throw the presidency and that it would not be in the favor of Donald Trump. And I said, no, that's not the sign. That's not the feeling that I'm getting. At what point do we not trust our feelings? And even more so, at what point do people not pay attention when someone calls it right? When someone accurately calls someone as the selection. Thing is, people don't want to hear about Donald Trump being a selection. They want to believe that that man was really elected by the majority of Americans. And the reality is this. A lot of Americans didn't vote. And is that wrong? Is that wrong of me or others for not voting for Clinton or even Jill Stein or even Gary Johnson, because we see that the whole thing is a show? See, it's not a good sign of intellectualism in the United States today if someone is assumed to be a supporter of the opposition if they don't support Donald Trump. How many of you, like myself, did not get on board supporting Barack Obama in 2008 or 2012? Would you like to be called a supporter of McCain? Did you vote for McCain? Oh, you're a McCain lover. McCain lover. What, you don't like Obama? You love McCain, and you're a racist. See, we need to keep this social justice warrior psychology out of our minds. And if that means you yourself, if you are a real independent, cleaning out the crap in your garage, cleaning out the dust in your car, throwing out the trash, and eliminating people that are obsessed, whether it's the left or the right, doesn't matter. Left-right paradigm is a left-right paradigm. And I suggest not spending a whole lot of time with people that are duped by this system. So I think it's going to take a few years. And I often think about Donald Trump really handing over the presidency in 2020, something like that possibly taking place. You know, so it's not going to hit people right away. And in fact, this video could be titled, Trump supporters will call for a war with China. I see the enthusiasm already beginning. See, for years, people knew about this trade deficit, and I've talked about it. I've talked about the military weapons that have been given to China. I've talked about land that's been sold to China. We're actually going to go over a lot of old information and even make a documentary maybe in the next year, because a lot of things have been happening with regards to China and the United States that are monumental, that are like top story material. You know what I mean? You have people like Rick Perry, bring it, come on, Huawei, come in and, establish your little base here in Plano, Texas, even though we know you've been spying on the American people, but people want to go, oh, no, it's all a neocon lie. China's actually good. The one-child policy is actually good. The Chinese persecution of Falun Gong, oh no, that's all a Pentagon talking point. The fact is, China and Russia are both corrupt governments as well. It makes no sense to say that the U.S. is going to be the only vehicle of destruction in this century. China and Russia have been building up for something, and America is falling on its sword, just like Clinton fell on her sword to make way for the Trumpster. America is falling on its sword. If Donald Trump acts like he's going to start rounding people up, you know what the agenda is? It's to destroy the image of the United States. As they prepare a worldwide coalition to possibly intervene. And what if Trump attacks a nation and kills 1 million people? Starts using some of those nuclear weapons? What if the target's Iran? What if, and I don't want this to happen, what if Trump takes the advice of some of his supporters, just draw him a nuke on him and just be done with it? What if we were to see things like that take place? But I think in the first year, you're going to see a big popularity with Trump over an auto industry bailout related things. I mean, there's things going on with Tesla, GM, Ford. And like another Simpsons episode, it's amazing how many Simpsons episodes have called it correctly. But by the way, I don't use Simpsons as a crystal ball. But there's that episode with like this car that ends up costing a lot of money, but it's really a lemon. And I think about, you know, these new technologies that are coming, and also how expensive cars are, and how expensive it can be to have labor now inside the United States. And so the question is there going to be some sort of a bailout thing that's going to look really good for a period of a few years at most, and be the kind of thing that makes Donald Trump look like a rock star? Living in America. You know, strippers doing backflips like acrobats and all types of things. Like a big circus, the Trump casino. And the idea of making America great again. We're just going to get back to work and get focused. Like, that's the problem before. We just weren't focused enough. Yeah, we didn't want to work. Yeah, that's the issue. Yeah, thank you, Daddy Donald Trump, for coming in with a big daddy bailout that's actually going to cost us a great deal later. So that's my warning to you. There's going to be something coming, I think, regarding that. But regarding China and Russia, things aren't going to kick off right away. There's a long-term plan. There is a long-term plan. And Trump will continue the policies of Obama to a certain degree that will weaken the United States, the opposite of making America great again, and will continue to help our future enemies on a military level. And that would be China, Russia, and their allies. Now there's an opinion article about Trump should get hard on China because of China helping North Korea. Well, you know, there's a lot of people that are really like calling for like this type of like get up in China's face bullshit, because they've been feeling that, you know, Obama was too weak, and Bush, he was too weak too. We need to go psycho. We need to start pushing buttons. We need to show the world that we're fucking serious. We're not going to bow down to people that eat dogs and cats. And that's actually the attitude that some people have. They're not really like thinking this through. Okay, you're ready for full-on economic collapse. Are you ready for this conflict? Are you aware this is being planned, or are you another arrogant person saying China already owns us anyways? Look at the Walmarts. There's a lot of people here in the United States that have never actually been through the fire and been in the red zone, pun intended. No pun intended. But the red zone, the danger zone, where they're being hunted, where their daughters are being disappeared, where people are being sold back and forth, where they're being backstabbed by their own people, where they're seeing people of their own ilk, their own tribe, their own community collaborate with the enemy and turn people in. The worst is yet to come. And so the actions of our presidents and the current one, the POTUS, homie, Donald Trump in the house. I mean, it's just, these people are role players. And yet we have decades now of research and information regarding all this, and what they figured out how to do is reverse psychology. With the media's help, they made it seem like they hated Donald Trump and loved Hillary Clinton. In reality, they are in cahoots. There is no real CNN Donald Trump feud. CNN is playing their part in the fake news by playing up the fears of Donald Trump being assassinated. Bullshit. Didn't happen. Just like the other things. Electoral college. Clinton's going to steal it. They're not going to let Trump in. Bullshit. Didn't happen. Trump is in the door, and now people are ready to get down and love their leader. The king is back. Daddy's back. And this sense of abandonment that people have felt because of all this corruption with all these presidents, they want Trump to heal that. By the way, for those of you that are familiar with the solar flare influence over human behavior and protests, we are going into, very few of you are, especially if you're a new viewer. Solar minimum. We're now in solar minimum for the next few years. So even though you hear talks of protests and unrest, there's going to be some quiet periods, energetically speaking, before the 2020s. But after the 2020s, the world's militaries, China, Russia, are going to be more ready, and they've announced this for over a decade. And I've been one of the few in the alternative media continuing to say this thing what China is building. Stop thinking that it's TSA, hands down the pants. The Alex Joneses in the world and others, that have talked about our own government being our own worst enemy in the end. That's not the end game. We look at what's been done in the Middle East, and we have U.S. troops hurting and oppressing people as well as NATO troops, Western governments, and other situations where you have these agreements between governments, and if they have an issue, they have troops from another country come in to restore order. So we have Western troops and these alliances centered around NATO and the U.S. in the Middle East, and once they gain a foothold and develop their bases, they train certain locals like the Afghan military or army or police, same thing in Iraq, to do their bidding. Well, the same thing is going to be set up here and is being phased in incrementally. There's a reason why Alex Jones and others, they've kept you on this. It's going to be Homeland Security and the National Guard. They will be your enemy. They will be your enemy. And they repeat that over and over and over for years. Obama, martial law. George Bush, martial law. And then they shift it and go Islamic invasion. Military, good. Wars in the Middle East, good. Blue lives matter. Blue lives matter. Black lives matter are all terrorists. All of them, really? You're really going to go that route because of the actions of, you're really going to go that route. Okay. And the same level of demonization and judgment in aspects of the alternative media and supposed independent thought, aspects of America, they're going to find that judgment turned back on them. Would you be so quick to call someone else a terrorist and say that 22% of those immigrants support ISIS, knowing the government also has ways of marginalizing you based on your own libertarian leanings? Does it really make sense to bear false witness on your neighbor during these times and claim that you know for a fact that those are terrorists? Bearing false witness. How is that going to help you when the foreign troops come kicking in doors here in the United States? So I'm going to wrap things up now. You're looking at now one of the very few men in the alternative media that for about 10 years has warned you about the same similar type of end game without jumping from conspiracy to conspiracy for monetary value. And I stand in the face of a lot of this bullshit that a lot of you are buying up. Whether you like me or not like me, you're going to find these videos and you're going to come across this truth. You're going to come across this information. And as the famous quote says, a person cannot unhear something once they've heard it. Some of you are familiar with this quote. That's real. And that's why I do what I do. Because you're going to remember my warnings. And you're going to see the Donald Trump deception before long. A lot of us should be working together to help each other survive the changes that are to come in the next few years. Not become relaxed, and look at this whole auto bailout thing, applaud these new, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, living in America. Yeah, living on borrowed time is more like it. While taunting China and getting up in its face, we should have never got to this point, period, where China had a military advantage. But it's been done, according to people like myself and others, if you start doing research, it's been done with support of the Clinton Foundation and others, George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, and the link to North Korea. It's not just Hillary. It's not just Hillary. That is a lie. Hillary did not help China by herself. Before Hillary and her husband, there were other people like Carter that paved the way for the role that China would play today. We've seen others. We've seen Barack Obama. We've seen Barack Obama fly the Chinese flag on the White House lawn. China is not an outside wild card, nor is North Korea. They are presented as such. In particular, North Korea. What's North Korea going to do next? When are they going to attack the United States? Oh, they're testing ICBMs. Oh, and then we see the China, North Korea Great Games Alliance. They have their own Olympics. They literally have their own Olympics. It's some amazing stuff. Watching those slaves backflip. Just think of the, oh, dude, don't want to backflip wrong or land wrong, get shot. No, only an idiot. Only an idiot would be of the mindset that Trump's going to make China do something about North Korea's nukes. When China themselves, along with Rumsfeld and others, you see this coordination, help North Korea. So they're setting the stage for World War III. And they've already determined the victor. And it's not going to be the United States. I'm Alex Ansary, sign off. For January 21st, 2017. Subscribe to this channel if you're new. I'll be back with updates.